She looked through the window with tears running down her face. It seemed as if the rain was in sync with her tears. However, she was too distraught to care. How was she ever going to get through all of this time round? The rent was almost overdue, and David's school fees needed to be paid. They needed to pay for medical aid. The cars needed to go for service. There was so much that needed to be done, but just not enough money. She got up and looked around the room and gave a sarcastic laugh. If someone was to walk into a living room, one could actually think that they were wealthy. What a joke, she said out loud. Lynn's eyes shifted to the clock on the wall, and she felt a surge of anxiety tightening in her stomach. Her husband would soon be home, and the arguments would start all over again. If it was not the silent treatment, then it was the arguments. She was so tired of this cycle. The vibrating sound of an incoming text message on her phone startled her back to reality. Lynn, just a reminder that our support group meeting will be starting in 30 minutes. Don't be late. The message was from Jennifer, one of the leaders at Lynn's new church. Okay, then let me go, Lynn said out loud. David had gone to Lynn's mother's place for the night, and she guessed that her husband would appreciate some alone time, even if it was only a few hours. After writing a little note for her husband, she charged out of the door and headed to the church. The church was within walking distance, so there was no need for her to drive. Well, even if that was not the case, she was too scared to drive the car. The car would need to go for service soon, and she was in constant fear that something would happen to it, and they would not have enough money to fix it. The sharp late afternoon wind was cold, and a reminder that winter was on the way. Lynn shrugged her shoulders and shook her head slightly, as she remembered that the coming in of winter meant more bills. She picked up her pace as she rushed to church, hardly noticing the people around her. She did not really know what the topic for the support group meeting was that night, but she did not care. She just needed to get out of the house. The main church door was open, and she quietly slid in. The warmth and peace she always felt when she was in church quickly settled over her. She made her way to the conference room at the back of the church, and to her surprise, there was only one person in the room, an elderly-looking man who was probably in his late 60s. He got up at the moment she entered the room and welcomed her with a smile. Lynn was never really good with strangers, but somehow this man did not seem like a stranger. She therefore gladly sat next to him. "How are you?" he asked. This was probably the first time in a while that someone had genuinely asked her how she was. Before she could even answer, he added, "Be honest. We are in church after all," he chuckled. Lynn was silent for a while. She knew what she wanted to say, but the words were just not coming out. She felt the tears trickling down her face. "I am not fine," she finally uttered. "We are struggling financially. We just don't have enough money. There's so much to be done. My husband doesn't speak much, and whenever I try to talk to him about it, he just gets upset. I am so tired of being poor." The kind gentleman listened attentively. He pulled out a tissue from his pocket and handed it to Lynn without saying a word, and then asked, "Is that all?" Lynn nodded her head. She would not dare say more. There was not much this man could do to help her after all, she thought. Unless if he was a millionaire who could spare $1 million for her and her family. "I'm sorry that you're so poor," the man said. That was not the response Lynn expected. She looked up at him and saw that he was smiling. How dare he find my situation amusing, Lynn thought. As if he could read her mind, he went on to say, "I do not find your situation amusing at all. It is just that you remind me of myself some years back. I was poor just like you. However, I am so glad that my poverty days are in the past. I will never be poor again." Lynn was taken aback by the man's words. His response seemed a bit insensitive, she thought, especially for someone in church. She could feel that she was getting irritated and looked towards the door, hoping that someone else would walk in and save her from this pompous man who was not sympathizing with the situation. "What is your name?" he asked, with that irritating smile on his face. She was tempted not to answer, but answered anyway. "Lynn," she replied, hoping that the coldness in her voice will show him just how irritated she was. "Lynn, let me tell you something. Like I said, I was just as poor as you at one time, and that was at the height of my career. Yes, it is funny, isn't it, that someone is poor at the height of their career. But I was that guy. I lived in constant fear. Don't get me wrong, I had a well-paying job and all the essentials I needed to live a fairly comfortable life. However, I was always worried about bills, worried about not having enough, worried about tomorrow and the financial burdens it will bring. Until one day I realized that I was poor. I was poor not because I did not have money. I was poor because I lacked financial knowledge. In my mind, all my problems would be solved by just having more money. And I can bet you that is what you also think." He paused, waiting for her to respond. "Of course, we just need to have a bit more money and everything will be fine," Lynn responded confidently. "No, that is not true," the man said. "The fact that you think you need more money tells me that you're poor. Let me explain. The existence of poverty should not just be measured by the amount of money you have, but rather by the financial knowledge you have, the opportunities available to you, and your willingness to take advantage of those opportunities. Oh, I know that globally they measure how poor people are by the amount of money they have. However, in my view, that is not a holistic way of measuring poverty. It is like assessing someone's health based on their body temperature. Though this will give you some form of indication of someone's well-being, you cannot treat a person by trying to control their body temperature alone. You'll need to understand the underlying issues that are affecting that person's temperature. In the same vein, how can your approach to addressing the poverty you're faced with be based on getting more money only? And here's the interesting part. Not everyone who is sick has an abnormal temperature. Just like not everyone who's poor has lack of money. Okay, let me ask you these questions. You do not have to give me answers. Just think about it. How knowledgeable are you about money? Do you understand it? Do you have a financial plan for yourself and your family? And before you tell me that you do not have a plan because you do not have enough money, I'd like you to consider this. Do people draw up plans for a house that is already built? They draw up plans for a house they intend to build, right? So coming up with a financial plan should not be determined by the current presence or the absence of money. However, it is a position you take when you intend to be financially stable or financially healthy, irrespective of how much money you have now. What opportunities are available to you to get that money that you believe you need? What are you willing to do to utilize those opportunities? There's so much I can ask you, but that is enough. What I really wanted to show you is that poverty has many layers. However, the first step to deal with it, well, from my experience, is to deal with the poverty mindset. Knowledge is key when one wants to shift or rather reshape one's mindset. Understand money, understand finances, have a plan in place and a strategy of the actions you would like to take to address your so-called financial challenges. Who knows, maybe you do not need more money, but you just need to change your usage of money. Fear and anxiety about finances or anything else for that matter are often a result of lack of knowledge and the absence of a clear vision of where one is going. I've said a lot tonight. However, if you take anything from this conversation, let it be this. Knowledge and access to opportunities are key ingredients in overcoming poverty. The saddest type of poverty is not the one where one does not have money. It is where one does not have both knowledge and opportunities. That is why there are some people who are living, some poor people actually, who are living in mansions, and some wealthy people who are often overlooked by society because they might not have the money now, but because of the knowledge they have, they wake up daily and work hard to achieve their set financial goals. And after saying those words, the man got up and started to make his way towards the door. Just as Lynn was about to call him back, she heard the words, "Mommy, Mommy, wake up." Lynn slowly opened her eyes and saw her son David standing next to her bed.